Hey, how we doing? It's JJ. It's about 5-6 days after the storms. We had 3 storms on the trot: Eunice, Franklin, Dennis, Andrew, something like that. Yeah, we've had 3 storms on the trot. Stayed indoors, stayed put, didn't venture out. But I've just come out today to just check on one of the local sites that I use really frequently, just to see what sort of damages kind of occurred. You can already see behind me, huge, great big limb has come down from up there, and as we just walk a little bit further along, which is a path that runs through this wood. Have to excuse the traffic noise. I am still quite near the entrance to the wood. Yeah, there's quite a few other trees already sort of down. There's one just blocking my path there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sort of head around, have a little bit of a scout around in the woods and sort of see what sort of damage has occurred. Here, there's trees laying down. I know this wood really well, so I kind of know what trees have gone down and what trees haven't in these storms. So I'm going to bring it back in. I'm going to have a little mooch around and see how the wood's doing. So I'm in a part of the wood that has a fairly large conifer plantation part in it. And, they're not particularly old, they're only about 20 or 30 years old, maybe 40 years old, but you can just see, wow, that must have made a hell of a crack when that went down. Wow, that really has. Look at the depth of that. It's about 4, almost 5 feet down. There's another couple of big ones over there that have gone down. There's a family sitting on one, but there's another 1, 2, 3 gone down there. But yeah, this has gone down. Just looking around, there's just loads of trees that were standing last week that are now down on the floor. Of course, where that's pushed against some of the other trees, no doubt with the next sort of lot of winds, they'll come down as well. A few more silver birches down in this part. You can see sometimes why some of them go down. The actual root stock, the root ball stock, this only goes about 2 or 3 feet down into the ground. Probably not even that sometimes. And obviously it spreads out further than it does down. So I'm not surprised why that one's obviously gone down, and it's taken another one with it. And there's another one over here. I was actually expecting worse. This section, it's not too bad, I suppose, because we're near the edge of the wood and the houses are there. The houses will buffer a lot of the wind, and then that first section of trees, these are quite young, quite spindly, quite healthy, and they'll take a fair bit of a beating. As I say, we had about it was averaging at about 45-50 mile an hour wind with 75 to 80 mile an hour gusts. And what's actually interesting is this area over here. Let me just wander over. From what I can see, not too much damage. So this area over here was a clearing. They cleared all the pines out about 4-5 years ago and created a clearing. So a lot of new young growth, predominantly silver birch saplings, but some hawthorn and that started to grow. I was kind of thinking that with that being a bit of a clearing, that the wind would be able to sort of pick up and push some of these bigger trees over, but they're still standing, so that's good to see. I've always loved this sign. Now, part of this wood is privately owned, which is actually behind me, but that part isn't. So I don't know why he's always put that sign there, but that sign has been there for donkey's years. And just look how the tree has made that sign its own. And this is a hornbeam, incredibly hardy is hornbeam, and that's just grown around it. See this section behind me? It's a bit of a four-way crossing. And about 4 or 5 years ago, this track was only about 6 feet wide. Obviously during winter people still come out and they still walk. But obviously what happens is people don't like walking in mud. Well, do you know what? Walk through mud. People continuously walk on the outside and then make the paths wider. And say, on this point here now, it's probably about 25 feet across and there's absolutely no need for it. So walk through the centre sections. What's the worst that's going to happen? Well, your boots are going to get muddy. Boots can be cleaned. Quite a few more trees down over this way. But it's not as bad as what I thought it was going to be. Sorry. Oh, mate. So listen, storms can actually be good for forests and woods and coppices. And why is that? Well, trees are going to fall down inevitably due to disease, old age. The ground is just not suitable, it's not strong enough to hold them up. And obviously the winds have a massive effect. But gales, storms, whatever, are good for forests. They clear out stuff, they create gaps. Sometimes in woods where they've been planted, they're planted too close together, so the ground isn't strong enough because it's trying to support too many trees in one area. So when trees like this go down, it creates a gap. Whee, sorry, I'm having problems with my tripod today. It creates a gap. Just trying to fix my tripod. It creates a gap in the canopy. That will let more light come through. It will open it up for new shoots to spring up, new growth, rejuvenation in the woods. Why is it also good? Well, when trees get cracked and they break down, a lot of insects and invertebrates and that are exposed. That's good for the wildlife, you know. Your birds will pick them all up. All your woodland species of birds, they'll pick them all up. The badgers, the foxes, they'll have a good go at them too. And then the trees that have really gone down onto the ground, the badgers will have a real good dig with their claws, incredibly powerful claws, and they'll be able to get to them grubs that are really deep within the wood. Conifers come down, great. Might produce some fat wood. Of other trees that have been damaged, you might get some fat wood out of it. The silver birches that have come down, great. Leave them for a few weeks. Let the trunk, or a couple of weeks, a month, let that bark start to soften a bit, and then you can peel back and get yourself some silver birch bark paper. So it does have a good effect, opening up new areas, new growth, a regeneration of the woods. So yes, it can be doom and gloom. Hey, and it's great for getting loads of fire kindling, fire tinder sources for your little stoves if you're going to have a fire responsibly, of course. Leave no trace. So it does have its benefits, and that it's not all doom and gloom. You know, for people that actually make a living in the woods, obviously it can have a catastrophic effect. It can ruin their businesses. I've already seen online some friends, massive trees have come down on their bushcraft schools, and you know, that's never good to see, but they can be tidied up, they can be refixed. And you know, people that are making a living out of doing, you know, coppicing, yeah, it will take down areas they weren't expecting to have to clear out, but you know what, you have to move forwards. Be careful when you're heading out. We've had a week of high strong winds. When you go to your spots, you know, I'm inspecting for damage, but look out above you, look around you, yeah. It's going to have created a lot of widow makers, and for those of you that are unsure or unaware of that term, it's widow makers, yeah, trees that may still be upstanding and haven't come down, but they've been seriously weakened, so don't be pitching a camp near them. Trees that have had branches and limbs cracked, but they haven't made its way through the canopy, you've got to watch out for those. So listen, storms can be good for the woods. You know, get outside, explore, see what damage has been done in your local area, and see if you can make use of it. It will maybe have opened up an area that you never thought about using before, and that's always a good thing. So that's my message. There you go. Thanks for tuning in. Catch up again soon.